In today's world, where most people are quick to react, snapping back, arguing and exploding, the real strength belongs to those who stay calm. The ones who don't take the bait, who don't become the storm, but simply watch it pass. There's a well-known saying, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." Think about that deeply, because every time you lose control and react, you're giving away your power. On the other hand, when you train your mind, when you learn to respond with silence instead of rage, no one can control you, not with words, not with chaos, not even with fear. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom, rising above the noise so high that nothing can disturb your peace. In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 powerful lessons that will help you train your mind to do exactly that. If you're tired of being triggered, if you want to become calm, untouchable, and unshakable, then listen carefully. Because once you understand this, the way you react to life will never be the same again. Lesson 1. Letting go is the key to inner strength. Most people live like leaves in the wind, tossed around by emotions, circumstances, and the opinions of others. One harsh word can ruin their entire mood. One small failure can make them doubt their worth. Why? Because their happiness is tied to approval, success, comfort, reputation, and external outcomes. In Buddhism, this is called upadana, clinging or grasping. This attachment of the mind and emotions is the true root of suffering. The Buddha taught that suffering doesn't come from what happens to you, it comes from how tightly you cling to what you want to happen. You cling to being liked. You cling to being right. You cling to control. And every time life doesn't match your expectations, your peace shatters. Why? Because your happiness was never really yours, it was rented out to the outside world. But here's the shift. When you begin to practice detachment, not from love or compassion, but from expectations and control, something incredible happens. You realize that nothing outside of you has the power to disturb your inner calm unless you hand it that power. And you begin to understand that detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care from a place of freedom, not fear. It means you care, but you care with wisdom. You show up with love, you act with intention, yet your sense of self is no longer chained to the outcome. Whether someone praises you or insults you, it doesn't shake you. Whether you win or lose, it doesn't define you. Your center remains still. This is not coldness, it is clarity. Because when you stop reacting emotionally to everything, you create space. And in that space, peace has the chance to grow. When you truly learn to detach, you become like a great tree in a storm, rooted steady and unshaken. If someone throws insults, you don't need to defend yourself. You simply smile, knowing their words reflect their inner state, not your truth. And when someone praises you, you smile the same way, because you understand your value has never depended on the opinions of others. This is what true inner power looks like. A person who no longer relies on the outside world to feel whole becomes untouchable. You stop reacting. You stop resisting. Instead, you watch. You breathe. You let go. And in that letting go, the world can no longer control you. You begin to master yourself. That is when real peace begins. And from that peace, an unshakable strength rises. Lesson 2. Observe, don't absorb. One of the greatest skills taught in Buddhism is the art of watching without reacting. Life constantly throws emotions, words, and energy at us, some pleasant, many unpleasant. People project their pain, their insecurities, their anger. Situations arise that feel unfair, overwhelming, or frustrating. And in those moments, most people absorb everything. They carry it in their chest, let it spin endlessly in their mind, and before they realize it, they've become exactly what they were reacting to. They get angry because someone else was angry. They feel heavy because someone else poured negativity onto them. But here's the truth: you don't have to absorb the energy around you. You can simply observe it and let it pass. That is the essence of Buddhist mindfulness. Especially through Vipassana meditation, the mind is trained to become like a still lake. Whatever falls into it, a stone, a leaf, even a storm it creates, ripples, yes, but eventually the water returns to stillness. Your mind can do the same. It can witness what's happening without becoming what's happening. When someone speaks with anger, you can observe the anger without catching it. See it clearly for what it is, a temporary wave born from their own suffering, destined to fade. When someone criticizes you unfairly, notice how it stirs your body and mind, but don't become that reaction. Just breathe. Watch it. Let it rise and then let it fall. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness behind them, the quiet observer who remains steady, no matter how loud the mind gets. This awareness is your freedom. Because once you realize that every thought, every feeling, every judgment is nothing more than a passing cloud, you stop chasing them. You stop fearing them. And most importantly, you stop letting them control your behavior. Think of it like this: if someone hands you a burning coal, but you don't pick it up, you won't get burned. But the moment you grab it and hold on, you suffer. That's exactly what happens when you absorb other people's negativity. You carry their pain and become a mirror for it. But when you simply observe instead of absorb, you create space. You create emotional distance. You remain grounded and light. And no matter how chaotic the world becomes, you are no longer ruled by it. This isn't weakness, it's mastery. Because the most powerful person in any room is never the one who controls others. It's the one who has learned to control themselves. So next time life throws something heavy at you, and pause. Don't react right away. Watch it. Breathe through it. Let it pass. You are not here to carry everyone's energy. You are here to stand strong in your own. Lesson 3. The power is always in the pause. In every difficult moment, right before the explosion, before the regret, before the storm, there's a small window, a tiny space between what happens to you and how you respond. That moment is brief and most people miss it. But that moment is everything. The Buddha understood this deeply. He taught that we are never prisoners of events themselves. We become prisoners of our automatic reactions. And those reactions move fast. Someone insults you and your ego instantly wants to strike back. Someone cuts you off in traffic and anger flares like fire. A challenge shows up and fear grabs hold of you before you even think. But here's the truth: you are not that first impulse. You are not the knee-jerk reaction. You are the one who can pause and choose. And that pause is your power. That pause is your freedom. In that fleeting moment, if you train yourself, you can take a breath, return to your center, and ask, what is the wise response here? Not the emotional one, not the habitual one, but the response that comes from strength, from clarity, from peace, but the conscious one. Most of our suffering begins because we react blindly. We blurt out words we don't mean. We make choices we later regret. And it all happens because we let emotions hijack the moment. But when you insert a pause, just a breath, just a heartbeat of stillness, you break the cycle. You interrupt the storm before it floods your mind. You step out of your conditioned habits and into pure awareness. This is exactly what Buddhist practice trains through meditation. You sit, you follow the breath. A thought appears, a sensation arises, but you don't jump, you don't react. You simply pause. That pause literally rewires your brain. It teaches you how to feel without being driven by feelings, how to notice without being controlled. The more you practice, the stronger your pause becomes. Instead of instantly reacting, you instantly observe. You learn to speak, not to wound, but to heal. You learn to act, not from impulse, but from grounded clarity. And with time, you realize the pause doesn't just prevent damage, it creates room for wisdom. You didn't just stop yourself from reacting, you rose above the chaos. That's real strength. Not how quickly you can fire back, but how deeply you can pause. Because in that pause, you take your power back. You reclaim your inner space, and from that stillness, you move with intention, not with emotion. So the next time something shakes you, remember you don't have to react. You can pause. You can breathe. And in that single breath, you become free. Lesson 4. Let the fire burn out on its own. When someone throws anger at you, the natural instinct is to hurl it right back. You feel the heat in your chest, your thoughts race, and suddenly you're locked in a battle of emotions, trying to defend, to prove, to destroy. But Buddhism offers a radical and liberating truth: you don't have to fuel the fire. The Buddha taught that hatred is never ended by more hatred. Not once in human history has anger healed another person's anger. Only non-hatred, only understanding, only stillness can bring true peace. When someone directs negativity toward you, they're essentially handing you a torch. If you grab it, the fire spreads. But if you refuse to pick it up, it dies out. That is what inner mastery looks like. It's not weakness, and it's not passivity. It's the wisdom of knowing that not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult is worth defending. Reacting to every provocation doesn't make you stronger. It only drains your peace and feeds your ego. The ego wants to fight, to win, to prove. But the soul only wants freedom. Picture this: someone comes at you full of rage. They shout, they insult, they try to pull you into their storm. But instead of fighting back, you remain calm. You don't argue. You don't defend. You simply let them release their words. And when they're done, you offer silence. No reaction, no emotional counterattack, just presence. At first, your silence may confuse them. Then it disarms them. Because they realize something they never expected: they no longer have power over you. Your refusal to react isn't weakness, it's a higher form of strength. When you don't return anger with anger, you don't carry it in your heart. You stay light. You stay free. Imagine someone handing you a heavy stone. If you don't take it, who carries the burden? They do. That's exactly what happens with emotional fire. If you don't pick it up, it remains with them. And eventually, it burns itself out. Letting the fire die naturally also protects your mind. Every time you react, you reinforce a pattern in your brain. If you keep meeting negativity with more negativity, you literally train yourself to be reactive, angry, and unstable. But if you consistently choose calmness and space, you rewire your mind for peace, for wisdom, and for self-mastery. You become like an ancient stone temple standing in the middle of a storm. No matter how fiercely the wind blows, it cannot be moved. That's who you are becoming: someone whose peace cannot be disturbed. Because you've learned that your energy is sacred, and you refuse to waste it on meaningless fires. So the next time someone tries to drag you into their drama, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Do I really need to set my own soul on fire just to win this one moment? The answer is no. Stay quiet. Stay centered. Let their fire burn itself out while you remain untouched by the flames. Because your peace is not something anyone can take from you. It's something you guard with silence, awareness, and an unshakable heart. Lesson 5. Silence is the language of the wise. In a world that never stops talking, where opinions echo endlessly and everyone races to be heard, Silence has become rare and powerful. Buddhism reminds us that silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of deep awareness. Silence is the space where wisdom lives. In the Dhammapada, it is written, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." And sometimes even that one word is unnecessary. A person who has mastered silence doesn't need to explain themselves. They don't need to fight for attention, prove their worth, or outtalk anyone. They speak when it matters, and they remain silent when it is wise. And because their words are rooted in clarity, not reaction, every word they do speak carries real weight. When you speak from the ego, you often say too much. You defend too hard. You argue too long. And in the end, you lose your peace just to win an argument that didn't matter anyway. But when you begin to cultivate inner silence, you realize something powerful. Not every action deserves a response, not every opinion needs a reply, and not every insult requires an answer. This doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you are so secure within yourself that you no longer need to prove anything. You understand your worth isn't found in how loud your voice is, but in how steady your spirit remains. Silence is not weakness, it is control. It's the ability to stay grounded when provoked. It's the choice to not let external chaos disturb your inner calm. When someone attacks you with words, you are given two paths. You can react, defend, and strike back, entering the same game of ego. Or you can remain silent. Not out of fear, but out of understanding. Because you know their words reflect them, not you. And here is where silence becomes your armor. Imagine someone shouting at you, expecting you to snap, waiting for you to break. But you say nothing. You look at them, not with hate, not with arrogance, but with stillness. That stillness speaks louder than any words could. I do not fear you. I do not need your approval. And I will not give you the power to control my mind. That is true power. That is spiritual maturity. That is the language of the wise. The Buddha himself was a master of silence. When questioned by those who only wanted to trap him with words, he often chose not to respond. He knew engaging with ignorance doesn't end it, it only feeds it. Silence, on the other hand, often dissolves conflict. When you choose silence instead of reaction, you accomplish three powerful things. First, you protect your energy. Words are powerful, but constant debates and emotional reactions drain your mental reserves. When you stay silent, you conserve that energy and redirect it toward what truly matters: your growth, your peace, your purpose. Second, you gain clarity. In silence, you can actually see. You observe the situation for what it really is. You notice your own emotions rising before they spill out of control. And when you finally do decide to speak, your words come from wisdom, not from wounds. Third, you break the pattern. Most people expect a reaction. They feed on conflict. But when you refuse to engage, you short-circuit their control. You leave them confused, powerless, because you cannot be manipulated by a game you refuse to play. This is why monks, sages, and wise masters throughout history have embraced silence not just as a practice, but as a way of life. Because silence heals. Silence disciplines. Silence strengthens. Silence in its purest form is power. And here's something profound. Silence isn't just about not speaking to others. It's about learning to be silent with yourself. How often do we drown in mental noise? Judging ourselves, worrying endlessly, replaying the past, fearing the future. True silence comes when your thoughts no longer control you. When the mind becomes still like a calm lake, and your awareness simply observes without fear, without craving, without noise. That kind of silence is not just powerful, it's transformational. So if you truly want to become unshakable, If you want to live from a place of deep peace, begin with this practice. Don't rush to speak. Don't answer from impulse. Breathe, pause, and ask yourself, is my silence more powerful than anything I could say right now? Most of the time, the answer is yes. Because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. Silence means everything is happening within. It's in that silence that you grow. It's in that silence that you heal. And it's in that silence that you uncover the power you've always had, but were too distracted to notice. Lesson 6. Acceptance ends all suffering. At the heart of Buddhist wisdom lies a truth many people struggle to accept. Suffering is not caused by what happens to us, but by how we resist what happens. We don't suffer because life is hard. We suffer because we convince ourselves that it shouldn't be. We resist pain, resist loss, resist discomfort and unfairness, and in that resistance we create a storm inside ourselves. The Buddha taught that all suffering comes from craving, from wanting reality to be something other than it is. We crave certainty in an uncertain world. We crave comfort in a world that constantly shifts. We crave control in a universe that never promised us any. But the truth is, life will not always unfold according to your plan. People you love will hurt you. Dreams you cling to may shatter. Health will fade. Loved ones will leave. And no amount of control, worry, or resistance will stop these truths from being real. That is why acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is liberation. Now let's be clear, acceptance doesn't mean you like what's happening. It doesn't mean you approve of injustice, betrayal, or failure. Acceptance means you stop fighting reality with your mind. You let go of the inner war that leaves you bitter and exhausted. When something painful happens, our first thought is often, "This shouldn't be happening." But that thought alone doubles the suffering. You feel the pain of the event itself, and then you feel the pain of resisting it. Acceptance, on the other hand, says, "This is what is. I don't have to love it, but I don't need to fight it either." Imagine being caught in the rain without an umbrella. You can scream at the sky, curse the clouds, and get furious about being wet, or you can take a breath, feel the raindrops, and simply walk. Either way, you're getting wet. But only one path brings peace. This is the essence of Buddhist acceptance. It's not giving up, it's waking up. Waking up to the truth that resisting the present moment only deepens your suffering. Waking up to the realization that peace doesn't come from controlling what is, but from being at peace with what is. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you stop arguing with life as it unfolds. You act on what you can change, but you no longer poison your spirit with endless rejection of what you cannot. Acceptance also frees you from the behavior of others, because you can't control how people act. People may disrespect you, misunderstand you, even mistreat you. You could spend your life trying to change them, trying to fix what they refuse to see. Or you could choose acceptance. Not acceptance out of weakness, but acceptance from wisdom. You set boundaries not from rage, but from peace. When you accept others as they are, not in resignation, but in recognition, you reclaim your emotional power. You no longer need them to behave a certain way in order for you to feel okay. Their actions stop controlling your peace because you're anchored in your own stability. And acceptance isn't only about others, it begins with yourself. Acceptance is the first step to transformation. You can't change what you won't accept. You can't heal from what you're still denying. So accept your flaws, your mistakes, your shadows, not to remain in them, but because only through honest awareness can true growth begin. Here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop resisting pain, it begins to soften. The moment you stop running from fear, it begins to loosen its grip. The moment you whisper, "This is how it is right now," you create space for peace to enter. Acceptance is not the end, it is the beginning. It's the moment you stop pushing against life and start flowing with it. You stop being a prisoner to outcomes and become a master of your inner world. When you accept life, you align with reality. And in that alignment, things start to shift. Not because you forced them, but because you removed the resistance that was blocking them. Peace arises, clarity appears, strength awakens. You're no longer fighting upstream against life, you're flowing with it, adjusting with grace, moving with wisdom. This doesn't mean life suddenly gets easy. It means you become stronger. You're no longer rattled by every loss, every discomfort, every change. You breathe. You feel. You let things be. You don't have to like it. You don't have to stay in it. But you also don't have to fight it. Acceptance is the doorway to freedom. It doesn't erase the challenge, but it dissolves the suffering wrapped around it. It opens your heart, clears your mind, and reveals what's next without the noise of resistance clouding your vision. Once you learn to accept fully openly, without judgment, you step into the deepest strength a human being can know, the strength of peace. You become the calm in the storm. You stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop being ruled by fear. And you begin to move through life with a quiet confidence, the kind that comes from knowing I can handle whatever arrives because I no longer need to fight it. That is real peace. And the truth is, it's available to you right now. Not someday when life becomes easier, but the moment you stop resisting what already is. Lesson 7: the compound effect of focused energy. One of the most overlooked yet life-changing principles in the Buddha's teachings is the idea of compounded attention. The truth that small, consistent actions of the mind, repeated over time, create deep and lasting transformation. In Buddhism, this is closely tied to the practice of bhavana, the cultivation of mental qualities through continuous training. In simple terms, it means this: where you place your focus, your life begins to move. And when that focus is steady, calm, and intentional, even the smallest inner efforts become incredibly powerful over time. But here's the problem most people face: their energy is scattered everywhere. They get triggered by every comment, distracted by every notification, pulled into every emotional wave. Their attention bounces from past regrets to future fears, from social media to internal drama, from goals to doubt, from stillness to chaos, all within minutes. And this scattered attention doesn't just exhaust you, it weakens you. It drains your energy, keeps your mind reactive, and leaves your spirit restless. Buddhism teaches the opposite path. Pull your energy back. Anchor your attention in the present moment. Train it. Sharpen it. Focus it like a beam of light. And then guide that focused energy toward peace, toward clarity, toward growth. This isn't something you do once. It's something you practice every day, with every breath, with every reaction you refuse to give in to, with every negative thought you observe instead of follow, with every act of stillness you choose in the middle of noise. And what happens over time is both subtle and extraordinary. You begin to change from the inside out. Not because you forced it, but because you nurtured it. Picture it like this: a single drop of water falling onto the same stone. One drop may seem like nothing, but drop after drop, day after day, the stone changes shape, slowly, quietly, irreversibly. That is the power of focused energy. And it's the same power that can reshape your mind, your habits, your life. Your mind works the same way as the stone shaped by water. Every time you return to awareness, you reshape it. Each time you choose presence instead of reaction, you strengthen your discipline. Each moment you sit in silence rather than strike back, you build unshakable inner power. These choices may feel small in the moment, but over time they add up. They carve a permanent shift, not because you forced it, but because you trained yourself to live differently. Real transformation doesn't come from sudden bursts of motivation or grand promises. It comes from quiet discipline, from steady focus, from daily mindfulness. And the more you turn your energy inward, the more peace you feel outward. The more grounded you become, the less the world can shake you. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. You begin to live in tune with your deepest values, your inner truth, your path. Distractions lose their grip. Triggers lose their power. Peace is no longer something you chase, it becomes something you embody. And yes, you will stumble. Your focus will drift. You will lose control at times. But that doesn't mean you've failed. The answer is always the same: begin again, and again, and again. Every return makes you stronger. Even masters and monks have faltered. What made them different is that they always came back to the breath, back to stillness, back to practice. This kind of energy isn't harsh or forced. It's soft, steady, and persistent. Moment by moment, choice by choice, your nervous system relaxes. Your breath deepens. Your presence expands. And not only do you feel it, others begin to feel it too. You become the kind of person whose calmness influences everyone around you, whose silence speaks louder than words, whose energy does not sway with the wind because you have rooted yourself in stillness. That is the compound power of focused energy. And here is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. You don't need to conquer the world, you only need to master this moment. One breath at a time, one pause at a time, one act of presence at a time. Through letting go, you free yourself from the weight that once held you down. Through awareness, you see clearly, instead of being dragged by every wave. Through the pause, you reclaim your power before emotions take control. Through non-reaction, you let fires burn out instead of fueling them. Through silence, you rise above the noise and become steady as a mountain. Through acceptance, you stop fighting life and begin to flow with it. And through focused energy, you reshape your life from within, slowly, quietly, permanently. This change will not happen overnight. It is a practice, a returning, a daily choice to remain still in the middle of the storm. But the more you walk this path, the more unshakable you become. Yes, people will still provoke you. Life will still test you, but you will no longer be controlled by it. You will watch, you will understand, and you will remain untouched. That is freedom. That is strength. So the next time life tries to pull you off balance, remember this: you are the mountain. You are the silence. You are the space between stimulus and response. And in that space, nothing can reach you.